Hello everybody. In this video, we are going to see about sealed classes in Java and how it controls the inheritance that we are going to see in this video. So what do you mean by your sealed classes? Means it's nothing but in a traditional inheritance, any class can extend any other class. There is no restriction. But it is for code reuse. Inheritance, basic motivation is to reuse the code. Okay, the superclass methods can be inherited for the subclass. Once again, you no need to create once again those methods. You can reuse. It is great for flexibility, but in some cases, if some of the classes can be extended only by few subclasses, means it cannot be done using the traditional inheritance concept. So we go for this sealed classes concept. Here you can have the inheritance control. That is, if you are specifying one class as sealed class, means definitely the after the class name you should give what all the subclasses it can extend. Okay, that you have to tell if you are providing that class as a sealed class. Okay, so you have to declare which classes are allowed to extend or implement a superclass. Okay, so if you see in traditional inheritance and sealed hierarchy difference, the traditional inheritance primary goal is code reuse and extensibility. But here in the sealed hierarchies, domain modeling, that is for the domain, what are all the few values allowed, only few subclasses allowed for that superclass. Okay, that domain value you can restrict. Here extensibility, it is infinite and open-ended. Any class can extend any other class, and from that class you can extend any other class also. There is no limit in traditional inheritance, but here only few possibilities because of sealed class restriction. So it permits only few subclasses to extend. In security, it is open to arbitrary subclassing. Any arbitrary subclass can extend the superclass. But here it is restricted to only authorized subclasses. So it's just like private one, this sealed hierarchies. So these four keywords we must keep it in mind in knowing about these sealed classes. So before the class keyword, you know how to declare a class followed by class name. Before that class, you have to provide sealed keyword. Sealed class name, and it should be followed by permits class. After that permits class, you have to list what all the subclasses are allowed to extend from the sealed class. Okay, so this permits is the class which takes the position as the extends or implements. So extends keyword where it will come class name, extends, the superclass name you will be providing. When will you use implements keyword? If you are implementing any interface, class name, implements keyword you must use, and after implements you must mention the interface name. Like that, if it is sealed class, means a sealed keyword, class name, then permits, that keyword you must use, and list of subclasses which are allowed to inherit from the superclass. And another keyword is final. If you are declaring any subclass as final, means further it cannot be extended. Final class name means it cannot have any subclasses further. And non-sealed subclass modifier means a subclass if you are providing with non-sealed modifier. Non-sealed class name, extends the superclass, that is yield class, means further that subclass can be extended. That is the difference between final and non-sealed. Final, it cannot be extended further. And if you are providing the keyword with non-sealed, means that subclass can extend further. So, if any sealed class permits only a few subclasses, that subclasses definitely it must provide the keywords, one of the the either final, sealed or non-sealed. One among these three, it must provide for their subclasses. Any subclass which extends this sealed superclass means definitely it should provide one among these three keywords. Either it can be final subclass or sealed subclass or non-sealed subclass. If it is final subclass means further that subclass cannot be extended. If that subclass is sealed subclass means once again you have to use the permits keyword, and after that you must specify what all the subclasses it can extend. And if you are providing that subclass as non-sealed means further branches it can take, okay, without any restriction. So the subclass which extends any sealed class means definitely it must be either final, sealed or non-sealed. Okay, it's a mandatory. So if you see, this is one example. Vehicle is the sealed superclass which have two subclasses, car and bike. And what I told, if any class is derived from the sealed class, it must give three keywords, either final, sealed or non-sealed. If you see here, it in the car, it provides that class as final. So car is the subclass which is declared as final, means further it cannot have branches, which means what? It will not be further extended. It cannot have any children. Here, if you see this subclass bike, which derives from this sealed superclass vehicle, and it's giving the, it is declared as non-sealed. So it can further, it can have branches. Okay. So it can have child. So sports bike is derived from bike. So sports bike's immediate parent is bike and bike's parent is vehicle. So sports bike can access what all the methods available under bike and also methods available under vehicle. So through bike, it inherits vehicle properties also, this sports bike. Okay. So if you see here, class vehicle is declared as sealed. Okay. And after that, if it is sealed class means definitely you should provide using the permits class what are all the subclasses followed by subclass list. Here car and bike. So that means what? It can have only two subclasses. Car and bike can extend this vehicle. You cannot give class truck extends vehicle because it is not in the permits list. Okay. Only what all the subclasses which is available under permits class, that list alone can be subclass for this sealed vehicle. So this vehicle have one method, void display. Okay. Then next is final. The car is the subclass of vehicle. So what I told, if any subclass which is derived from this sealed class vehicle means definitely it must provide the subclass modifier. One among the three, either it can be final, sealed or non-sealed. Here I have given this car as final, that is further it cannot be extended. That is, you cannot give this class sports car, extends car. Means you cannot give like that. The compilation error will be producing because you have declared this class car as final. Further, it cannot be extended. So it has its own method, car info. just it prints car has 4 wheels. Okay. If you see here, previously vehicle has only the display method. Now the car, which is the subclass of this sealed class vehicle, one method called car info. And this car can access this display method also because it extends from vehicle. So what are all the methods available under vehicle? This car, through the car object also, you can access the vehicle method. Both display method and car info can be invoked using the object of the car class. Okay. So next is a bike, which extends the sealed class vehicle, and out of the three subclass modifiers, final, sealed or non-sealed, here I am using non-sealed. If I give final means you cannot extend bike further. Here I have given it as non-sealed. So it can be any subclass can extend this bike. Okay. So it has its own method, bike info. Apart from this vehicle method display also it can able to access. Okay. Bike info method, just it prints the text bike has 2 wheels. Next is a class sports bike extends bike. Here I don't have any subclass modifier. Why? Because bike is not the sealed class. It is the non-sealed class. If bike is the sealed class means definitely you must provide one among the three keywords, final, sealed or non-sealed. Okay. Here bike is not the sealed class. It is non-sealed one. So no need to give any subclass modifier, and it has its own method speed. Now sports bike subclass is derived from bike. So bike has its bike info method also it can invoke through this sports bike object, and also display method, that is the parent of bike has the display method. That method also this sports bike can invoke through its object. Okay. So if you see here, I am creating for car one object C. So C dot display means this method is available under vehicle because C is car is the subclass of vehicle. So vehicle display method can be invoked through this car object, and this car has its own method car info. So if you see, this is a vehicle is a C dot display output, and car has 4 vehicles is the output for this car info. And then next I am creating for sports bike an object SB. So SB dot display means this is the display method of the vehicle. So this is the vehicle it prints, and SB dot bike info is the immediate parent of sports bike is bike. Under that bike class, this bike info method is available. So through this object, I am invoking, and the sports bike has its own method sp.speed. So this is the vehicle method, and this is bike method, and this is sports bike is very first. This method is available under sports bike method speed. Okay. So, if you are creating a direct subclass of a sealed class means definitely you must use either final if no more subclasses are allowed. And if you are using sealed means you have to provide the permits list, what all the subclasses it can allow, that you must specify if the subclass is sealed. If it is a non-sealed class means you can extend any class from it freely, it can extend. Okay. So it is what is the sealed class means it is based on what are the values the domain can take. It's for domain modeling. So use sealed hierarchies when you need to represent only known set of possibilities, only specific shapes. If a toy is if any toy company is producing toys only in circle and rectangle means that shape, the base class shape, okay, you have to declare it as a sealed class shape permits circle, comma, rectangle. And then that means what? You cannot further extend this shape class for triangle class and all. Only what is permitted, that alone you can able to extend. Okay, sealed and permits combine to create an unbreakable compile time contract. It ensures unauthorized code. And then mandatory subclass modifiers. Further branching you can restrict. If it is final means no branching in that inheritance hierarchy. And if it is a sealed class means only few branches it will be allowing. And if it is non-sealed means further branching can be done. Okay. So that's all about the sealed classes and how it controls the inheritance. That's what we have seen through the demonstration of simple program. Hope you have understood the concept. Thanks for watching.